Welcome back to Family Fortunes, that's Family Feud to any Americans watching, where the Moss family from Japan have the chance to win the big prize if they can correctly guess our final question. We asked 100 people, what feature would you most like to see in a vertically scrolling shmup on Nintendo Switch? And for the first time in this show's history, all 100 people gave the same answer. So Moss family, you have 2 lives remaining. Uncle Moss, you're up first. What do you think? A feature 100 out of 100 people would like to see in a vertically scrolling shmup on Switch. まあ、難しいなんですが、現在の子供がなんかすごく長くて深いストーリーが好きと思います。Okay, that's your answer? A long and deep story? Let's see if it's up there. Our survey says no, but don't worry, you still have 1 life. So Grandma Moss, it's up to you. What's the one thing all shmup fans would like to see in a vert on Switch? Literally everyone has said the same thing. What do you think? そうなんですね。最近はさ、オンラインコートが超人気になっちゃったね。それで STG ファンもオンラインが好きと思う。けどね、リーダーボードだけじゃない。ちょっとあまり意味がないソーシャルのオンラインシステムの方がいいと思います。Right. Okay, so an online social system with little meaning. That's your answer. Let's see if it's up there. Oh no, it's not there either. I am sorry, Moss family, but it's game over for you. Let's see what the top answer actually was.
Emergency contact from the Army. Immediately carry out an attack by fighting thunder, assist the North American Army, and completely destroy targeted weapons of destruction. Those are their orders.
Hey, Raiden, did you hear that? It's a little late, but hurry and make your way to the battleground.
So as you may be able to tell, I've got a little bit of a bee in my bonnet over certain aspects of Raiden 5. However, we'll get to those later. For starters, let's look at the game itself and see what we're dealing with here. Raiden released at the end of July, hot on the heels of the excellent Caladrius Blaze. Being developed by Moss, both games do share several similarities, but there are notable differences too. The Raiden series has long been famous for its idiosyncratic weapons, most famously of all the toothpaste laser. And that aspect of the series continues here in Raiden 5. And in fact, the shot system is arguably the central aspect of the entire game, so let's look at it in a bit of detail. There are 3 shot types: spread or bullet type, laser type, and plasma type, and within each category there are 3 variations. At the start of the game, you choose 1 variation from each type, and these are then fixed for the duration of your run. These variations within each shot type really are quite major. The plasma weapons in particular are vastly different from one another, and your choice at the start here will massively affect how you play, and trying the game out with different variations gives a decent replay value. However, during the game you can't actually switch between these weapons at will. Instead, you have to wait for enemies to drop a shot pickup. These pickups rotate through the 3 colours associated with each shot type, and whatever colour you pick up, that's the weapon you will now have equipped. Further to this, each weapon has a level, and each pickup will raise the shot power of the associated weapon by 1, up to a maximum of 10. Now what this means is you level up 1 shot to level 2, a new pickup appears giving you a choice to either switch weapons and bring another shot up to level 2, or bring your current shot up to level 3. I'm sure different players will approach this differently, but I always found it hard to resist not adding to the already most powerful weapon. Not least because you're likely to prefer one of the shot types anyway, and switching to something else, given that the gap to the next pickup is both unknown and all too frequently long, will leave you without your favourite weapon as an option. This creates a problem since once you have 1 shot at say level 5 or 6, and the others are still at 1, you're essentially never going back to those other weapons, meaning many runs are going to see you playing the whole game with the same weapon. A further problem here is when you reach level 10, pickups still keep coming, and if you accidentally collect one of another colour, you're suddenly going to be in a lot of trouble as you drop from a level 10 plasma to a level 1 laser, for example, and the enemies around you are too strong. The way out of this, of course, is to try and level up all the weapons equally, but this forces you to use unwanted weapons at unwanted times. Taking on some enemies with the laser can be near impossible, but if that's the last pickup you collected, well, tough. It's a strangely restrictive system, especially compared to Caladrius' excellent charge-based system, which allows you to switch between all 3 weapons at any time, but gives them a percentage charge to force you to think about how and why and when to either use or save each type. Now, on top of your shots you have a regular bomb, and extras of these can be picked up throughout the stages. In addition, you have one other attack, and this is possibly Raiden 5's most divisive system. Called the Cheer Support System, this gives you added attack power of varying types and can be activated after charging a bar at the bottom of the screen. This bar charges fairly consistently as you play the game, but can be sped up by receiving cheers from other players online. When you do something the game considers significant, like go beyond 1,000,000 points, defeat a boss, etc., that achievement will flash on other players' screens. If they click a button, you will receive a cheer and a boost to your cheer meter. Of course, you can see others' achievements too and may boost them with a cheer of your own. I don't know if this system is something popular with some crowds or where Moss got the idea for it, but for me it adds at best nothing and at worst is an annoying distraction. Who cares if others are cheering you? It's apparently supposed to recreate the cheers of people crowded round an arcade cabinet. But does it? Not from where I'm standing. I'd happily turn it off, and fortunately that's exactly what will happen if you either go offline or don't have a Nintendo Online subscription. And if you don't, in this case at least, don't worry, because you ain't missing much. So the cheer system is all going on in the top left of the screen, but you may have noticed the right side is also a buzzing little beehive of activity. Over here we have a radar, which, well, I don't know what purpose it serves, but it's there. And, oh, most wonderfully of all, these talking heads who rabbit on incessantly throughout your playtime. And good God, what utter rubbish they spew. I won't claim to have made head nor tail of it because as much as possible I try to block it out. Something helped at first by the default audio mixing, making them mostly inaudible, and later by discovering the option to turn the voices off. However, on the few occasions when I could hear them or read the lines on screen, I was rolling my eyes at the banality of the writing and being put to sleep by the god-awful delivery from voice actors who sound like they were ejected from roles reading PA announcements in a bus station because they are too boring. And okay, it's a shmup. Who cares about story and voice acting? Well, I care because Moss cares. Because Moss don't just force this crap on you, they won't give us the most wished for feature any Switch owner has for a vert because of all this clogging up the UI. The only thing necessary around the screen are the weapon levels and multiplier information. The little score chart is useful, but it's optional. All the rest is fluff. The important parts could easily be made to fit into a vertical orientation setup, but unfortunately Uncle and Grandma Moss have decided nope, this rubbish is integral to the game. Kids need their online, right? It's 2019, don't you know? Well, in case you can't tell, I consider the decision moronic. But, well, it is what it is, and at the end of the day, console releases have always been perfectly playable without Tate support in the past, and they remain so now. It's just such a shamefully wasted opportunity. And it would actually be especially beneficial in this game because some things can be hard to see. Some of this is just due to the nature of the genre, but others are simply poor visual design on the developer's part. The yellow and orange bullets and enemies on the yellow and orange backdrop in the first half of Stage 2 is the most notable aspect of this, but poor bullet visibility is an issue that crops up to varying degrees throughout the game. A lot of enemies come onto the screen in odd ways too, sometimes seeming to have appeared out of thin air, and it's only when you play the level for the 6th or 7th time that you finally notice from where their quick wispy forms fly in. A further problem here is in the first couple of stages, enemies can appear fairly irregularly, and are too easy to take out, leaving the initial stages feeling sleep-inducingly dull after repeat playthroughs and hampering replayability. The stages are long too and can, on occasion, feel drawn out a little too long. Fortunately, the game has online leaderboards to keep you coming back, and while these are well implemented, the scoring system doesn't have a huge amount of depth to it, with taking down as many enemies as possible, as quickly as possible being its main components. There are also medals, and one system I do quite like is that you can collect the medals more quickly, you can draw them into yourself if you release fire. There are hidden items buried in stages 2 with blue Michus, I don't know how you say it, which can be picked up by touching them, and Sol Towers, which need to be activated by hovering over them and then shot for bonus points. One other pickup is the Fairy. These both give points bonuses and bring us nicely onto the shield system the game employs. See, in Raiden 5 you don't have lives, you have a shield, which will drop by a certain percentage each time you get hit. I know a lot of people don't like such systems, but in this case I think it works fine, and the reason I bring it up now is because the aforementioned fairies will recharge a certain amount of your shield after you get hit. Now, I've been pretty negative so far, I know, but that isn't to say I think Raiden 5 is a bad game. It gets a lot of the simple things right, and playing through it is, for the most part, fun. It's just nothing it does right is particularly noteworthy, and the things it does badly are. Before we get on to final thoughts, a quick word on presentation. There's only one word for it, and that word is professional, with all the positive and negative connotations the word contains. Everything from the menu UI to the in-game visuals is done competently, and nothing from the ships to the backgrounds has much of an individual spark to it to make it stand out. I know certain aspects of the visuals in Caladrius turn a lot of people off, and some others on, but there's no denying they are chock full of character. Not so here. This is the visual equivalent of the Employee of the Month in a Japanese bank. Clean, competent and professional, but all vestiges of an actual personality repressed deep, deep inside a little box. A box most likely containing the gallery from Caladrius. So all in all, despite all my negativity, we do have a professionally developed and fun to play shmup. However, most of its positive aspects are unremarkable, whereas its numerous negative points will jump out immediately to any regular shmup player. Raiden is a big name with a big reputation, but this installment doesn't live up to those expectations. I'd still rate it a 7 out of 10, but given the wealth of shmups both available and upcoming on Switch, there are far better options. I have a feeling some of this review may be a little controversial. I've seen a lot of praise for this game, and as you can tell, it's just not something I can get behind. I don't understand it. If you've played the game and you disagree, do let me know why. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you next time. Cheers.